Hi, my name is Zach Katkin. I'm the CEO of Olympia Marketing. We are a Southwest Florida-based marketing and advertising agency, and we are digitally first focused, meaning there's all kinds of ways to achieve a company's objectives. At the end of the day, we're here to help you grow. And typically, the fastest, easiest, least expensive way to do that is digitally, right? And what a lot of people, a lot of business owners don't even realize is that nowadays, locations, although they still matter, people aren't paying attention to their surroundings as much as they used to. They turn to the internet for almost everything. They turn to search for almost everything. So we help businesses, being digitally first focused, achieve their results in the best way possible. And usually, not always, but usually that's through digital techniques, things like SEO, pay-per-click, website stuff, etc. So in this presentation today, I want to talk about an introduction to SEO. Right. My main goals for you are people don't have a lot of time, so I know this is going to be a longer video, but I want you to take from this a complete understanding of SEO. What is SEO? Why it matters for your business? How to think about it? Because it's a very old technique or tactic, but it's one of the most important, and it will become increasingly important as you'll see. So I think after watching this video, which is going to be a combination of consultative, taking my background and understanding of everything, relaying it to you to help you see and understand, oh, okay, there's so much opportunity out there and there's easy ways to implement it, right? I actually just heard a video today by Alex Hormozy where he talks about starting a business and how he knows so many people that are like, oh, I'm thinking about starting a business. I'll start it next year. I'll start it within the next decade, whatever it is. And it's as simple as starting an LLC, which you could do on websites now for like $200, creating a bank account, getting a payment processor, so the ability to accept payments, and then selling a service to somebody you don't know, getting them to part with their money, and paying you. And it's that simple. Now you have a business, right? There's similar ideas or concepts when it comes to marketing a business. It's very, very simple. So I want you to be able to understand the basics immediately, and then as you grow, think of us, and we'd be happy to help you. So this is an introduction to SEO, why it matters in 2025. All right, so what we're going to cover, a little bit about me and Olympia, why SEO matters a lot and will continue to matter and will actually continue to grow in mattering in prominence as the years go by, especially with things like AI. What is SEO? How Google ranks websites, our strategy, so how we look at things, how you should look at things, our services, some case studies, and a Q&A. We're also going to bounce back and forth here between the website and the actual presentation. All right, so a little bit about me and Olympia Marketing. We are a marketing advertising agency based in Southwest Florida. I've been doing this for over 20 years now. I started right out of high school. I was picked up right as I transitioned into college by a marketing advertising firm that did marketing advertising for a particular niche nationwide. So this company had thousands of clients all across the country. It was right as the internet was really starting to boom, like the first wave of the internet starting to boom. I think now we're going through a similar wave. We've gone through, this will be kind of the third wave. The first one was websites in general. The second was what phones allowed and mobile development. And the third now is this transition, I think, across the economy to small businesses overall, because there's been no engine like small businesses for economics in the United States. It's unlike anything else. So I think we're going to see a massive boom, small businesses coupled with AI, right? So I've been doing this for 20 years, right? It started off, there was no mobile internet. There were no smartphones. Saw that whole transition. Initially started by assisting this company in building out their full internet marketing and digital development department. Built my own company back in 2005. Built that up to be one of the largest, most well-known digital ad agencies in the state of Florida. Sold that in the mid-2010s. Worked as a fractional CMO for a number of different companies, locally and statewide, and then decided essentially a year ago that I was going to kind of get back to my roots. I love helping small businesses grow, helping people achieve their dreams. I love marketing. I love the idea of people inventing a great product, a great service, a great process, and then getting it in front of the right people, your potential customers, clients, prospects, students, whatever the case may be. And, you growing your firm, making money, assisting people, helping people, etc. So yeah, I restarted my agency this time. I'm all on my own. Although we do have a full team, we've grown exponentially. We're now 9 people total, 3 of which are based here in Southwest Florida, full-time FGCU graduates. So really proud of that. FGCU being the local university here in Southwest Florida. Done a number of projects over the years, nationally, internationally, certainly locally. On a local level, the most interesting and well-known thing that I've ever done is the Babcock Ranch project. It's a new city called Babcock Ranch. Assisted them, my team and I at my previous company did all of their marketing and advertising, and that still basically exists to this day. We're currently working on a couple different things at Olympia. We basically have 2 major divisions of the company. We've got niche-based, product-based services. So what we've done in a couple different industries at this point, including real estate and the beauty industry, and underneath beauty, we've got beauty schools and med spas, is a product-based where we've got 4 different tiers, depending on where those companies are at that we're talking with, where we take them through a set of experiences, set of services that provide tremendous return. We execute those things, that product very quickly. That includes like website development, marketing and advertising deployment, which underneath that are a ton of different services that we provide. So that's on the product-based side of things. And then on this, we have a custom side of things where literally any company can come to us. We have a prominent, very fast-growing accounting agency as an example. We just started to engage with. They're based in Clearwater, where we do essentially fractional CMO services. So fractional chief marketing officer services, develop a marketing plan and execute that marketing plan, totally customized based on the business. On the one hand, the product side of things, we start at $300, and on the higher end tier things, we'll start at anywhere from about, $25,000 setup, and then a monthly engagement of some kind. Throughout the years, I've been involved with and successfully ranked all kinds of projects nationally or locally. We'll talk more about how that works and why that matters. In some cases, ranking nationally for some things is very easy, whereas ranking locally for some things is very difficult. We've also seen a big change, I'll say, in the last 5 years since COVID with particular industries. A lot of dollars, a lot of private equity money is seeping into local markets, and a lot of local businesses are finding that they have to get way more aggressive in order to continue to be successful. But there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for those businesses that are willing to take it, right? So why SEO still matters? Excuse me. Number 1 is traffic. Number 2, business. Number 3 is how people make purchasing decisions. And finally, AI and its implications for the future we're going to talk about here briefly. Let's jump ahead to this one. I think this is going to make sense. And I should probably have this image on both of these slides. One analogy I've been using as of the last couple of years is that most people understand, like any business owner generally is going to be 20 years old and up. Certainly there's some younger people in business as well, but most of us understand the concept of billboards, right? You've got a high trafficked road in your community, and some business has decided to put up a billboard because they think it's valuable to get in front of 10, 20, however many thousand people drive by that road every day. There's their ad, there's their business. Okay, it kind of makes sense, right? You're getting in front of and you're getting the attention of all these people. That's essentially what we're doing with SEO, right? The big difference being that it is digital, and you don't get to see, because you're in front of your terminal, your screen, your neighbors, the other people that are searching, the other people that are doing the same thing that you are as you search, right? So if you think of in this image here, these cars are people trying to do something. They're trying to buy something. Maybe they have, we'll use an example here of, maybe they have an issue with their HVAC, their AC system, right? They're doing a search for AC repair company, HVAC, etc. Maybe they're a potential student and they're searching for a beauty school or cosmetology school or whatever have you. And so what we have in the background as marketers, and really it's publicly available, it's free to anybody, are tools that allow us to see these roads. And the really cool thing about it is those roads are populated in mass by people looking for exactly what you have to offer, right? So we're not just building them along a random road where literally, let's say 50,000 people a week or a day or whatever the case may be are driving along, and they all have their different needs, their different thoughts, different things going on. We're constructing roads or billboards along roads of people that are searching for exactly what you have to offer, right? So these people are actively searching, and in real time, you're coming up for when they have those needs, right? So let's jump back. So the thing most people don't understand is the traffic. I just did a search here in the background. I'll show you. Every single day, approximately 16.4 billion searches are done on Google, right? Another metric that is very interesting is that around 90% of all purchasing decisions include Google, right? So somebody is either doing research on an industry, they're doing research on your business, whatever the case may be, but 90% of those decisions involve Google at some point in the decision. The next thing is business. So what I wish to communicate here overall is that a lot of businesses that we work with these days have kind of been mesmerized by social media. Everybody's on social media, thousands of views, millions of views, billions of views, social media, social media, social media. And although social media is valuable and has its place for business, generally for local small businesses, general businesses, the results you can see with more conventional digital marketing, so SEO, pay-per-click, are anywhere from 10 to 100 times what you can with social media. With the same level of effort or money or time. I had a client fairly recently. She didn't believe me. She had spent a ton of time and effort on a number of different things, but primarily social media, and she just wasn't seeing results, right? She was basically going out of business. We took over her website. We did the things we're going to talk about. We did SEO. We did pay-per-click. And literally in 1 month, we had hundreds of clients for her, right? She went from nothing for months and months and months to hundreds per month. And ironically, she had tried to do some of these things herself. She had tried to build her own website. She had tried to deploy her own pay-per-click campaign. She had tried to do her best when it came to SEO. And none of it worked. So she thought it just didn't work, right? This is where expertise really matters. Bringing things together really matters. And we'll go over some of that here. Again, back to how people make purchasing decisions. The number one way people actually make purchasing decisions. I'm not saying come up with the idea, get to know a brand. I mean, literally, they're ready to make a purchasing decision. How do they do it? Generally, they turn to search. I believe the stat is something like 80% of all final purchasing decisions are made directly from a Google search, right? So if I have a problem with my AC unit, for example, I'm going to go to Google and look at who in my area, who near me repairs an air conditioning system, right? If I'm a prospective student, I'm looking for a school. I'm going to Google and I'm going to look at which schools are closest to me, do a little bit of research, then contact them generally via their website. The last, marketing endpoint is generally mediated through search. It's really, really important for you to understand this. Finally, point number 4 on why SEO matters, AI and its implications for the future. I've been asked a lot lately, last couple months. What about AI? Do you think AI is going to ruin things or blah, blah, blah? It's definitely, there's some aspects of it that are certainly up in the air. But I can say just this week, Olympia Marketing itself, through our own SEO efforts, has seen a number of new businesses come to us via AI. And why that's relevant to SEO is because the very same things you do with your website and off your website for search engine optimization are the very same things that matter to AI. So by doing SEO, you're preempting AI. You're building value in the same kind of databases and, how would you say this, networking way that matters to the AI tools that are out there. So, if somebody goes to ChatGPT, asks a question where it's your business that should be answering it, as long as you've answered it on your website and are doing the proper things from an SEO perspective, those AI tools will pick that up and will deliver to that end user your answers and actually make you into the authority even better, I think, than conventional SEO. So the long story short of it is, if you want to be performing for the future for AI, you have to be considering SEO right now, right? And this is an example of that. In real time, this very video is the perfect example of that. I'm going to take this video, I'm going to create a transcript from all of this, and I'm going to create a large blog post that'll detail out everything that I'm saying. I'm going to post it on YouTube. I'm going to post the description, with all that information. I'm going to post a blog post. I'm going to post a video, right? And then that way, if somebody asks Google a question about SEO, especially as it pertains to, let's say, our local market or some of our niche markets, the AI tools will have scrubbed that information, picked it up, and then deployed it and made us, me, Olympia, the authority on that information, right? So it actually pays in a lot of ways to give away the expertise and the value that you've built up over the years, because it's the number one way that these tools do what they do in the background. And I've seen that for decades, right? The online space is fascinating because the more you give away, the more honest and honorable and true and valuable your information is, the better you do. So what is SEO? And we're going to go back to that image here in a second. It's an acronym, stands for search engine optimization, and it's basically optimizing your website and your online presence for that website to rank higher in search engine results. Put another way, we're proving ourselves and appeasing the search gods, right? We're saying that we are more valuable, we're more authoritative, we're trying to do all the things that prove we're more believable than others, right? I think of it like I mentioned a few minutes ago as a highway for particular searchers, people that are searching for what you have to offer. I think of SEO as building a home or a commercial building along that space. It's more permanent, whereas pay-per-click is more like a billboard, right? It's a short-term, temporary. You're leasing the space, for a month or two in the case of a billboard, or literally minute to minute with pay-per-click. But it's the same idea. We're saying, hey, in real time, you need AC repair or whatever the search is. SEO is Google saying, here's the websites we think are most valuable over time. Pay-per-click is an advertiser saying, we think we should come up for that search because that searcher is looking for exactly what we have to offer. So they kind of go hand in hand in some ways. There's a few different pillars to SEO, just broken down as, in buckets as big as possible. We've got technical stuff, so your site speed, how usable your site is, whether it's mobile friendly, whether it has structured data that kind of starts to transcend into or overlap into the second thing, which is on-page SEO, right? So on-site stuff. So your keywords, your content, your meta tags, your UX, Google definitely looks at that, even though they have pretended for years they don't. Then it's finally the largest pillar is off-page SEO. So backlinks, press releases, citations, brand mentions, all those big things that get Google to really move your website up in the rankings. And I'll show you some examples of this. We've got a client that we're going to demonstrate at a few different levels here. Let me move the window so you can see a little better. Yeah, so there's the whole website. And when I hover over, let me pull this down a little so you can see it. Yeah, there we go. When I hover over this tab, what do we see? We see cosmetology, beauty and barbering school, Alexander Academy. And it's cut off a little bit there. But then we see like a nice looking website, pretty simple, big calls to action, a decent amount of text, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. And one of the big things I want to communicate here is that on every single project we work on, if it's the starter packages, and how we structured things there, or if it's the custom side of things over here, every website we work on, every website certainly we develop, even if it's a template-based website, in the background, what we're doing is we're doing the keyword research for our clients, for anybody we work with, and we're doing these things that I'm going to go over, right? So back to the tag here, the title tag, right? So this is how it's presented, which we're going to come back to in a different capacity in a second. But if you right-click on your, any website, and you could certainly do this for competitors as well, but we look at title tag, and we see there's the entire title tag: cosmetology, beauty and barbering school, Alexander Academy, Lunenburg, Massachusetts, right? So Google knows, okay, basically we're trying to rank for cosmetology school, Lunenburg, beauty school, Lunenburg, barbering school, Lunenburg. So let's do a search for that. Lunenburg. I think I spelled that right. No, with the U. Let's just do this. And this is all in real time. This is an existing client of ours, so let's see how we do. Here we have a paid ad of theirs. And then what's the number one Google search result? Alexander Academy. There they are. Now let's try cosmetology school. There's a pay-per-click ad. And there they are, number one. And what was the other one? It was beauty school. Boom, number one. So, and in this case, this is, and that's one of many things. So there's, literally, like we mentioned, beauty school here in one of the, main sections. We've got some address information, which is helpful. There's a lot of little details, underneath the programs. We've got barbering and cosmetology, and we've actually, this particular client is trying to target 7 different cities. So Lunenburg is one. They're also going after Fitchburg, Leominster, Gardner, Worcester, Marlborough, and Hudson. So we've helped them rank and optimize their site for everything. And from a results perspective, they would get about 1 student every week previously. We came in, optimized their website. It was actually the 3rd version of their website. They'd done 2 previous versions, one of which they had launched about a month before they engaged with us. But the owner and I had a conversation. He trusted us because of our experience both in the industry and overall technically. And even though he had spent so much time and money on his previous version of his website, we went in, cleaned things up, reorganized stuff, performed SEO, and now we're getting usually about 1 lead a day just from SEO. So what's that? A 7x increase in results. So a huge benefit. And what I really love, this is the part of the business I love, the gentleman that he bought it from a family member that owns this business. He's a brand new father. He's got, I think it's a 2-month-old at this point. And he bought it from a family member. There were some health issues. They wanted to retire. It's a 20-year-old business. But he had some dreams, some goals and aspirations. He wants to expand the business. And within 1 month of working with us, we did our review process where we go over all of the details on things like analytics and SEO and pay-per-click, and he is now actively scaling the business, and he has the opportunity, if he can, do the underlying aspects of the business, but to grow it from where it's at today, which is about $1 million a year, to around a $10 million a year business, and there's enough activity, there's enough clientele, there's enough students to support it. And we have a full map of what that marketing would look like, and we're helping him achieve those dreams. So really cool, exciting thing. So yeah, it's these kinds of, excuse me, it's, where'd that? It's these kinds of things that we go through, right? So like if we look at Fitchburg, in the barbering section, we have a page, Barbering School Fitchburg. So let's look at Barbering School Fitchburg. In real time, can't fake it, number one, Alexander Academy, right? In fact, if we look at Cosmetology School, Massachusetts, this is just how powerful what we do extends to. And keep in mind, every single cosmetology student is worth about $25,000 for tuition. But number one is Massachusetts itself, which makes sense. You know, there's lots of laws and regulations around cosmetology. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, some nationwide companies. Wait. We were just coming up higher for this, but like literally I did this presentation 20 minutes ago and something was messed up technically. So we're coming up page 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excuse me. Number 4. We're not even trying to rank for this, but we're coming up number 14. So pretty cool. But all right, so we do a bunch of back end stuff. You know, that's it. So, all right. So why SEO still matters? Traffic. Oh wait, sorry. All right. So how Google ranks websites? Google ranks uses 200 different factors to determine where a website ranks. Things like your Google business profile. It basically sets the tone for what's called the open graph. So Google associates your GBP profile with you as a business, and it basically is at the center of your identity as a business, right? And then from there, it's got your website, your phone number, your address, your social media links, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of signals to say, okay, this is this business, right? Within that, you've got the website, and there are hundreds of factors that determine how your website ranks. Generally, like big picture thinking here, you've got content, keyword usage on your website, right? So, really basic things that a lot of businesses don't understand how to think, like in a way search engines, but in a better way, your prospective customer, right? So what I like to do with a lot of companies that we work with, we go after and organize things through both service and industry. It depends on the business type, but usually once you document out your services, that's a perfect way to start to build keywords and start to do SEO on your site, right? And really, there's some pros and cons to what I'm about to say, but you can really get granular with what I'm talking about. As an example that comes to the top of my head is some cleaners we've worked with. Cleaning companies, they do residential cleaning, they do Airbnb cleaning, they do commercial cleaning. And so getting specific allows you to get in front of those particular keywords. So quality content and keyword usage, building up a backlink profile. So those are other websites that link to yours, so maybe those are vendors that you've worked with, partners, chambers of commerce, press releases. So like local news sites that reference you as an authority. This is one of the biggest and the most difficult portions of SEO. It's one of the most important. Next is site structure and technical health of your site. So if your site's really slow, if there's hosting issues, if there's coding issues, those can have a dampening effect. mobile responsiveness and UX. Google, although it said it does not use these as a factor in ranking, it's now been proven that they in fact do. Things like engagement metrics, so bounce rate, time on site, and then finally time. And what I mean by time is, how old is your website? How long has your domain been up? How long have you been at this game? Google really, and rightfully so, rewards websites that have been up for a long time. Our strategy is basically, 6 steps. It really depends on whether it's the product-based or where we have like a clear set strategy with very, very honed tactics, or the more consultative end where maybe your business is completely unique, and we see that all the time. And so we have to come up with a completely unique strategy. But regardless, we start with an audit, right? We identify issues, generally with your website, and then digging down deeper into some of the ancillary stuff that's out there. We do keyword research. So what is your prospective audience using to find and make purchasing decisions for companies like yourself? We do on-site optimization. We do content development. So the addition of strategic keyword-focused blogs, service pages, what's called pillar content. So content that is maybe going after a harder keyword that is big and prominent on your website. And then we have other pieces of content that are also linking back to it, confirming that that's kind of the main keyword we're focused on. Link building overall. So we do outreach for our clients, on behalf of our clients, with their vendors, partners, chambers, publications, etc. This kind of goes hand in hand with digital PR. So that is press releases, or what's the other word for it? I can't think of it right now. But the more mentions you have overall, the more links you have, the better. And then finally, all right, how do you know this stuff is working, right? And that's reporting and optimization. So where we report back to our clients exactly like that Alexander Academy situation. Here's what's going on. Here's the progress we're making, etc. In fact, with it being end of month here tomorrow, in preparation for Labor Day, we have a number of new clients that are getting our full monthly first month reporting, and we spend many hours doing that as a team for each of our clients. Excuse me. SEO services we offer. So we offer comprehensive SEO packages across the gamut, right? And it's not your job to know what you need, right? This is why you talk to a company like us. You don't know what you don't know what you don't know. You don't know, even if you do know what you don't know what to do, what the next steps are, right? There's SEO can kind of be broken out. It's not the time or place for this particular presentation, but into all other kinds of subcategories. And so based on your business, based on my expertise, the team's expertise, we make recommendations on, on what to do, whether that's local SEO, a national SEO campaign. Obviously, if you're a nationwide company, you're trying to get in front of a nationwide audience, it makes sense to concentrate on nationwide SEO. But a lot of local companies don't realize the value of various things like, local SEO or map pack / Google business profile optimization, technical mumbo jumbo BS. Basically, there's places to compete that are far easier and better than other places, and we help guide all of our clients, no matter at what level of budget that they have. Example of this, and this is absolutely the lowest tier. For starting at $300, we helped build a brand new commercial brokerage. Their website. They're based in Fort Myers. And one thing that was interesting about them, made them unique, and we built a whole page and section of their website dedicated to this, is they do dental and dentist tenant representation. So in Southwest Florida, there's a lot of companies on the East Coast and Miami who are thinking about moving over. The population is growing. There's a lot of extra space. There's a lot of opportunity. Things are less expensive generally over here. So many dentists are trying to move their business over to the West Coast. And they've carved out a niche, this company, representing dentists' tenants, right? So representing dentists in finding a new commercial space that's appropriate for dentists in Southwest Florida. They have special build outs, special requirements, needs from their own marketing perspective, like where they want to center their practice. So we built a special few pages, a section, some blogs, etc. And they immediately started ranking for these things. And to our surprise, to some extent, we didn't know this was going to be, the case, but it's built into everything we do. They started ranking for dental tenant representation and dentist tenant representation in the area. And there's quite a few. It's about 100 businesses a month are searching for this in our region, right? And each one of those is, potentially worth thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for this commercial broker. So a perfect example where this tiny upstart put their faith in us, spent a few $100s to start, built their website, extremely pleased, gorgeous website, executed and launched within 2 weeks. And it's already getting in front of some of the top searches that they need to, right? So, so we work with businesses of all levels. We kind of already went over this, but the case study from invisible to dominant in a couple months. So that school, Alexander Academy, I'm not going to go through this again. We helped them rank. They're now ranking for each one of those 7 cities that they were trying to go after. Number 1 for absolutely every single search. So generally it's beauty school, cosmetology school, barbering across 7 different locations. That's 21 different searches. They own 100% of that market now, and they will own it in perpetuity, as long as we continue to keep up and outpace our competition. So a couple final things here that I did want to mention. SEO versus paid ads. So what's the difference in pros and cons? So SEO and paid ads, cost, trust, lifespan, click-through rate, right? Generally, SEO is going to be more expensive up front, but less expensive over time on a dollar per lead basis, right? Now, you also have to think about it over a longer time horizon. With paid ads, you can spin up an ad, you can build that billboard, lease that billboard from Google literally tomorrow, right? No matter what keyword you're after. On the SEO side of things, it takes much longer, right? I was talking to a partner today that does AI-based phone systems, right, and call centers. Turns out that market is super competitive. The price per click for something like, Something like outsourced call system, etc., is anywhere from $50 to $150 per click, right? But if you have $300, if you have $1,000, you can play that market immediately, right? I don't necessarily think that's smart. So we talked about some other strategies, but to rank for those same things from an SEO standpoint, it's going to take probably a year or more, right? But at that kind of price per click, you start to see the benefits because let's say over the course of 2 years, just off the top of my head as an example, not real numbers here, but let's say they spend $100,000, they get to be number 1. All of a sudden, they get 100% of that SEO traffic. They're getting maybe thousands of people to their website every single month. That's literally worth millions of dollars in terms of price per click. So huge value, SEO in this case, over paid ads, but it just takes longer and you have to think of it differently. Generally, SEO has higher trust as well. There's some back and forth on this depending on who you are and your thoughts on it, but more credibility because it takes longer, it's harder. People are just looking for those non-paid results. I'm on the fence. I think they're both very valuable. I think actually if a company is willing to pay for an ad, it speaks volumes. And a lot of times, and this goes along with the click-through rate, if you rank for both, like you saw with Alexander Academy, if you're paying for an ad and you rank in SEO prominently, there's a higher click-through rate overall, bigger than if you had one or the other. And then there's a higher conversion rate overall, bigger than if you had one or the other. So there's benefits to doing both at the same time. Lifespan of SEO is long-term and it's compounding. Paid ads, they stop immediately when your budget ends, right? So a lot of companies will have a budget over the course of, let's say, a monthly budget that ends after a week or 2 weeks, depending on the market, and then they have to stop it, start it again, stop it, start it again. And, it can be in some ways frustrating, but it's, this isn't a pro and con of these two things. They're just different tools, right? Finally, why choose Olympia and Next Steps? So we're not just another agency. We're Florida-based, nationally recognized. We have deep expertise in SEO across many industries. We have in-house team, in-house writers. We do SEO in-house. We've got a big dev team. We're transparent on reporting and strategy. We're 100% focused on your ROI, right? I don't think we should exist if we're not providing our client, hopefully you, a return on your investment. And that should generally be, depending on the business type, anywhere from 5 to 10x. So if you spend a certain amount with us, you should see a 5 to 10x return on that investment. We do free SEO audits for all new clients. I'd love to talk to you, so I'd love for you to book a strategy call. You can do so. It's very simple, olympiamarketing.com, and there'll be some additional information here shortly. At the top of this video too, we've got contact at olympiamarketing.com and our phone number. And we do customized SEO plans for all kinds of businesses. We have, as I said, that product-based, niche-based, packaging, and then we have totally custom. So, basically we cover the gamut. We can take care of virtually anybody. One big thing that differentiates us is we do have, for every project, every client, a total full-time account manager that you would work with. And they are U.S.-based, Florida-based, and English-based, so that, works with all of our clients. And we work with startups, all kinds of national service businesses, national brands. We'd be happy to help you. And then finally, I'll say, so this is my personal email on screen here. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. This is our phone number as well. Leave a comment on YouTube if you'd like. This video is going to be posted there. And absolutely happy to answer any questions. I think over time, as we grow, as our clientele and total network grows, I'd love to do a school or some sort of Facebook group answering any questions. This is really one of the untapped places, SEO, for many, 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 many businesses. Most businesses are distracted with social media, and not that social media doesn't work. It has its place, but for the vast majority of businesses, this works far better. Like I said in the beginning, 10 to 100 times better. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels, you want to grow. Yes, it takes a little bit of time. Yes, it takes a little bit of investment, but we'd be happy to help and certainly answer any questions you have. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And you have a great rest of the day whenever you're watching this. All right. Take care.